Okay, so we're checking out another power station in this video. This is from NG-PAK, another 500 watt portable power station. So in this box you see sort of a diagram of what the power station looks like. And another diagram for the side. Looks like there's some vents. Same with the other side. On the back here are some summarized specifications. So 34,800 milliamp hours capacity, 14.8 volts, and 515 watt hours. So maximum power output of 500 watts. You have two 12 volt 5 amp DC output ports, several USB ports, 5 volt 2.4 amp, 3 of those, a QC 3.0, 1 of those, one type C input output of power delivery, 60 watts, and then you have AC output, of course, 120 volts. So the weight's about 5.2 kilograms or about 11 pounds. It's fairly small. So here's a quick look at everything that comes in the box. So it looks like the power station is in some sort of a carrying pouch. We'll take a look at this here. It comes with a carrying strap, and you have some hooks here on the side. So if it's like a shoulder strap, basically, if you want to carry it on your shoulder. Got a user's manual. Got a cigarette lighter adapter for charging the power station inside your car. Then you have an AC power supply for charging it inside your house. And this one is a 19 volt 3.78 amp charger. So they're saying about 4 to 5 hours, 0 to empty charging basically inside the house on this AC adapter. Now you can also connect this up to solar panels with the appropriate adapters for the plug here, and they actually don't have those yet. Don't have anything to show you, but it does have a solar charge controller inside, so it is able to charge off of solar panels if you're wondering about that. So the bag slash case that this is in, it looks pretty nice. It's like a cloth material. It looks fairly decent quality. Let's see here, there's a door here in the front. Yes, looks like you can have access to the front panel here without taking it out of the bag. Looks like the power station is inside a plastic bag. I'll take that out. But it looks like you have your appropriate air cooling vents here on the back and on the side. So it looks like you'll be able to leave the power station inside the carrying bag if you're going to be charging it up and using it. Should have adequate air cooling. Yeah, so the power station is definitely fairly small, and as you can see, it can hold it with just a few fingers. It's about 11 pounds, not super heavy for the capacity of 515 watt hours. So you got your vent here on the side, left and right. Also got one in the back, and again some specifications here on the back of the power station. It's nothing much on the bottom, just some rubber feet. The plastic is like a smooth matte finish. It's a slightly like off-white color and gray color, and it's all looks like it's all plastic material, pretty decent quality, smooth but a matte finish. So just to cover the front panel here where all the activity is going on here, you have your LED light. So this is probably like your standard stuff. Turn it on. Yeah, it's like different levels, strobe, etc., and off. Then you got your main information panel here. Input here, 12 volts to 30 volts here on the DC input. Then you have DC output here, a cigarette lighter, ports 12 volts there, 2 DC barrel plug outputs at 12 volts. I think these are 5551s, I believe. You have a USB section here. So I think you can turn on these individually. So if you press on DC, you see a little DC on the panel here. You can turn that off. So you can just power on what you need, power on the USB, etc. So on the USB section, you've got Type C power delivery at 60 watts and both input and output. So it looks like if you have a USB-C charger, you can charge via the USB-C, charge the power station via USB-C, or obviously we can use the included power adapter for here to charge via the car charging adapter or the AC outlet adapter. You have a quick charge 3.0 port and 3 5 volt 2.4 amp USB ports. And you have an AC section here with 2 AC outlets, 110 volts. Turn that on. And usually a fan turns on. There it goes. So the fan will turn on here momentarily, and I think when you plug in here, and then depending on what the power draw is, you'll have the inverter, which is a pure sine wave inverter. Well, the fan will kick on to cool that down. That's pretty normal. All right, so at this one I'll go ahead and I'll demonstrate the charging up of the power station via the AC adapter and also the car port adapter. And then we'll also demonstrate this being used as a power source to charge up other stuff and power other devices, USB, AC, etc. So let's go and do that. Okay, so let's first demonstrate charging of the power station via the AC adapter. And we'll just plug it in. It should automatically turn on the display. And it shows you the current state of charge, 69%. All right, so I'm just going to start plugging a bunch of stuff in here. I'll start off with this is a thin and light laptop. And I'm going to charge it via the USB-C. Go ahead and turn on the USB section. And we can see on the display that it is actually powered on now. And we can see here on the display that the USB Type-C is lit up. It's showing that that's active now. 67% state of charge, and it's drawing about 20 watts to charge up this laptop. And the laptop is not powered on. And it's giving us an indication on the display here about 15 hours of battery left in the power station if we're just charging this one device. So we'll plug in more stuff here and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to charge up this Mavic Mini here. And I'm going to use the Quick Charge 3.0 because this is like a fast charging device. Okay, so we can see that the Mavic Mini is charging up now. And now we're drawing about 44 watts just for these two devices. And now we're down to about 7 hours of battery left at 67%. All right, so I'm going to charge up some cameras here. I've got a GoPro Hero 10. And I'm going to use the 5 volt 2.4 amp USB port and a USB-C cable. So now that's charging up. It's probably not going to add too much more power draw. So now we're about 44 watts, 45 watts, 65% on the battery, and about 6 hours left on the power station. Got another camera here. It's an Insta360 Go 2 inside its case. Again, we use the 5 volt 2.4 amp USB port. And now we're jumped up to about 48 watts. Let's plug in something here on the cigarette lighter DC port. Turn this on. Plug this in. I'm going to use one of these drone battery chargers here. So I'm going to charge up a 3S battery. So we're just charging this up at about 3 amps, nothing too huge. And now I see that the power draw is now up to 79 watts. And the power on time, charging up all this stuff here is about 3 hours left. That's 63%. Okay, I'm going to charge up another drone battery. This is a Mavic Air 2 battery. And so this one uses an AC charger. So I'm going to turn on the AC now. Plug this in. Turn on the AC section. You can see here on the display, it shows everything's active now. So we have DC, USB, USB Type-C, and AC. And let's go ahead and plug this in. All right, so this is charging now too. Now we're up to 128 watts. So you heard the fan kick in and it turned back off. As long as the temperature stays below 40 degrees Celsius inside the power station, the fan won't turn on. So we'll see if we can keep drawing more power and get the fan to turn on. I'm going to plug in something else here on the AC. So I'm going to plug in another drone battery charger. This is a Toolkit RC M6D. And I'm using an AC to DC power adapter plugged in as ISDT 160 watt AC adapter. And that plugged in on the AC. And now we're up to 133 watts. But I'm not charging anything on this charger. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in a big battery into this Toolkit RC charger. This is a 6S 3300 milliamp hour LiPo. So let's go ahead and charge this up at a pretty good amount of current here. We'll go up to 6 amps. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so that jumped up the power draw to 280 watts at 6 amps on the LiPo charger. All right, so I'm going to go charge up my cell phone. This is a Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and I'm just going to use the 5 volt 2.4 amp, the last remaining USB port on here. I'll plug that in. Yeah, so that's just a regular 5 volt charge here, not adding a whole lot more, about 289 watts now. And I've got pretty much everything maxed out. I think I've got every single port except for the 2 DC barrel plugs. Those aren't being used. But yeah, we're drawing almost 300 watts of power, and we're down to 51% battery on the power station. Okay, so I did unplug a bunch of stuff on here. Now we're down to 46 watts of power draw. I want to demonstrate a hair dryer. This is one of these devices that can draw more than 500 watts, which is the capacity limit on this power station. And that's when you turn the heat on. I've demonstrated this on other power stations. This will draw up to 1500 watts. But if you just use the fan only, or just the air blower only, I think it's somewhat less than 500 watts. I don't remember exactly offhand, but I'll go ahead and demonstrate this. And then when I do kick the heat on, it will trigger the overcurrent protection. That's one of the things that's on here: overcurrent protection, over temperature protection, overcharge protection, over discharge protection, etc. Very typical of all of these power stations. It has all those. Let's go ahead and let's watch the screen here and look at the numbers as to what happens when I turn the hair dryer on. You're not going to hear me talk because the hair dryer will be too noisy. This is level 1 on the blower, 125 watts. Now we're going to level 2, and we're drawing 155 watts. So now we're going to level 3, and we're at 207 watts. I'll drop it back down to level 1 on the blower. As soon as I kick the heat on, it will trigger the overcurrent protection. And there you go, it tripped. So interestingly, it actually triggered the circuit breaker here on the hair dryer, so obviously detected that this port could not provide enough current, and it actually tripped it. But the other devices like the drone and the laptop are still charging, so the power station actually didn't shut off. It just shut off the, I guess it didn't provide enough current to the AC port here. Yeah, so a couple last things here to mention about the power station. Inside are 21700 lithium ion cells. So a lot of these power stations will typically use 18650 cells. This is using the larger 21700 cells that typically goes into like electric vehicles, electric cars. So obviously makes the form factor a little bit smaller and lighter. So that's an advantage on this particular power station. But keep in mind, it is still 515 watt hours of total energy inside here. So if you're drawing up to 500 watts, you have basically about an hour of power on time if you're drawing that much current. But as you can see, I plugged in a ton of stuff, and I think it barely got to 200 or 300 watts. So this definitely can charge up a lot of your gear. It's just that the super high current draw items like air conditioners, microwaves, that kind of thing, you're going to need something a little bit more robust with a bigger inverter inside there. Those usually draw like 1500 watts, 2000 watts, or even higher, especially like air conditioners. So this is not for that use case, but for a lot of these smaller, lower current draw devices, laptops, drones, drone batteries, camera batteries, etc. This is going to be great for that, especially if you're on the road, not necessarily near an AC outlet, camping, outdoors, etc., and you need something to charge up your devices. This is going to be perfect for that. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Link down in the video description. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps out the channel a lot. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.